Hey guys, welcome to video number 3 in my Lord of the Rings Family Guy sticker series. If you haven't already, check out my last 2 videos where I make Peter and Quagmire into Aragorn and Legolas. And in this video we're going to make Joe into Gimli. So I'll show you the process and make sure you stay tuned for the end of the video when we will take a look at these. So the first thing is we have our sketch ready. I don't usually record the sketch bit because it just takes me so long to get it right. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. But once I am happy with that sketch, I will go in using Manga Studio, or Clip Studio I think it's known as now, and I begin doing the line art. Now I work primarily in Photoshop, but I find this program is much better for inking. I get much smoother lines. And you probably noticed that I draw a line, hit undo, draw the line again, hit undo, draw the line again, etc, etc, and I do this over and over. For those of you who are quite familiar with working digitally, you'll know this is pretty much the process. This is how you usually get nice line art. If you're really good and you have a really steady hand, you might be able to draw them neat to first time. I, however, definitely do not. And it's for that exact reason that I'm only showing a minute or two of the line art, because I think you can tell the process from this point already. So this is how it's looking once our line art is done. And next we're going to lay down some flat colours. This bit you could argue is probably the easiest part. It really is just a case of colouring in. So I guess even a child could do this part. It doesn't even matter if you're an artist. It is quite time consuming though, if you want it to be quite neat. And I do try my best to keep it as neat as possible. You might notice some bits look a little bit messy at first and overlap onto other parts of his clothing. Chances are, if you've seen me do that, it means that there's going to be a layer over the top of that that's going to cover the mess, and therefore there was no point doing it too neat in certain areas, so I hope that makes sense. But yeah, there is also, of course, the paint bucket tool, which in theory should fill your selection with just a click of a button and work very easily and be absolutely perfect for what we need here. Unfortunately, in my drawings, I find maybe my line art is not pristine enough to work with the paint bucket or the fill tool, and even when it does work in Photoshop, I sometimes find that it doesn't quite go to the lines. It sometimes leaves small gaps around the line art, so it's just for my own peace of mind going in and drawing it by hand, or colouring it by hand I should say, getting into all the corners and making sure that I haven't missed any bits. So once those flat colours are laid in, like you can see there, you might notice that I have created a new layer for every single colour, or for every single item of clothing. I don't always do this in my work, but I don't generally draw this style, this sort of cartoony sticker design. It's still fairly new to me, so I'm keeping them all on individual layers so that if I'm not happy with any of the colours, I can edit them easily without having to recolour everything, thanks to the way that Photoshop works. The downside to this is that it does get a little bit messy in your layers panel. It gets quite difficult to keep on top of it, especially like you can see here with the shading and lighting, because I then create another layer over each of those layers for the shading and another layer over that for the lighting for each item of clothing. Everyone who works digitally has a completely different process, so there isn't any right or wrong. The shading and the highlights don't show up as obvious on camera because it's not as large an area that I'm using it on. I'm trying to keep it really basic as a cell shading technique so that it matches the Family Guy cartoon style. And I do go into quite a lot of detail for what it is on this image, but it's obviously going to be a sticker and it's not going to be that big. So some of the detail I've done on here might have been a little bit wasted, but I'd rather have it on there than not. So once that's finished, I send these off to print, and let's open what they've sent back. So the bit that I've been waiting for, although I actually ordered sticker number 2 and 3 together, so this parcel is actually already open. I'm just filming them at different times. This one was actually probably the hardest to make out of all 3 so far. Don't really know why, it just proved to be quite difficult. I almost gave up a few times if I'm being honest. So let me get these open. And I had these made at stickerapp.com. So the same company that I had Peter and Quagmire made at, because I want them all to match. So let's bring this up to the camera. I had this made in glossy vinyl, as you can see, just like the others. and I am loving the way this one has turned out. I think he's probably the biggest so far. So for the same price, I actually got less of this one made, just because of the measurements. So let's put him side to side with my others so far. Sorry the lighting is a little bit bright, but I wanted to get these three made as a set. Let me hold these up to the camera a little bit so you can see them clearer. So there you have it. I am super excited that I've got three made. Next, I'm thinking is going to be Frodo. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I'm going to put a link in the description box to a link where you can pick these up. Let me know in the comments below who you think I should make next and which character they should be. As always, please do hit the thumbs up button, leave me a comment below, and make sure you subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, everyone.